Today, we're diving into a really powerful, maybe even counterintuitive idea for any leader out there who's trying to unlock creativity. It's called the power of the amateur. All right, let me start with a question for you, and I want you to really think about this. Is it possible that your team is too professional? I mean, could their competence, their experience, all that focus on the bottom line, could it actually be suffocating the very innovation you hired them for in the first place?
Yeah, that's what brings us to the heart of the problem here. We call it the professional's paradox. It's all about the hidden, secret limits of just being competent.
Let me tell you a story. Picture a top-tier video game studio, right? They've just launched the sequel to their biggest franchise, and on paper, it's perfect. The graphics, stunning. The mechanics, super polished. But it bombs. Total failure. Critics, players, everyone says the same thing. It's technically flawless, but it has no soul. So what on earth went wrong? It wasn't a lack of skill. I mean, this studio was packed with the best of the best. And believe it or not, that was the problem. They were just professionals, executing a formula, competently going through the motions. The love, the passion for the craft, it was just gone. So the answer here, the antidote to this paradox, it isn't more professionalism. Nope, it's something else entirely. It's about learning to tap into the power of the amateur. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Amateur sounds like a bad word, right? Like unskilled or unprofessional. But we've got to reclaim its original meaning. It actually comes from the Latin word amator, which just means lover. Think about that. An amateur is someone who does something for the pure, absolute love of it. And trust me, that is a superpower. Okay, so let's break down the core difference here. On one side, you've got the professional. They're driven by extrinsic things, money, status, you name it. They're constrained by the market, by the boss, and the outcome, competence. But then you have the amateur. They're driven by something inside, love, curiosity. Their only real constraint is their own imagination. And that leads to originality. This gives the amateur a huge advantage. For starters, their motivation is resilient. It's not going to disappear just because a bonus gets cut. They're also free from all those professional rules that tell them to, color inside the lines. And all of this lets them be playful, to experiment and chase down those weird ideas that so often lead to amazing breakthroughs. A great example of this is Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator. He's not a professional writer, right? He writes because he's deeply curious about things. And that very freedom from having to be a professional is exactly what makes his essays so incredibly influential. And here's the real kicker, the paradox in all of this. By not trying to be a professional, by just pursuing something for love, the amateur often reaches a level of mastery that most professionals, who are bogged down by deadlines and client feedback, can only dream of. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how can I actually tap into this power? How do I unleash my team's inner amateur? Well, let's get into the game plan. So let's jump back to our failing game studio. The studio head does something pretty radical. He completely ignores the resumes of all the industry veterans. Instead, he walks down to the QA department, and there he finds Lena, a junior tester who, in her spare time, is just obsessively modding and improving old, forgotten games. For free. Why? Just because she loves it. So he promotes her to lead designer and gives her this tiny little team. And her mission? It wasn't to hit some market demographic or maximize revenue. Nope, it was something so much simpler and so much more powerful. Make a game that you would love to play. This story basically hands us a playbook. First up, protect the playground. You've got to give your team space to experiment without the pressure of immediate results. Think of Google's famous 20% time. Number 2, hire for love. When you're interviewing, ask for a portfolio of love. Show me the projects you did just because you were obsessively curious. And third, fund the hobbyist. Find out what your people are passionate about outside of work and figure out how to bring that incredible energy into their work. So what was the result for Lena's team? Well, they made this weird, difficult, totally unconventional game. I bet the marketing department was absolutely terrified. But guess what? It found its audience. A deeply passionate community of fellow fans who absolutely loved it. It wasn't a blockbuster, maybe, but it was a massive word-of-mouth hit that helped the company find its soul again. All right, so what can you do with all this, right now? I've got one simple action you can take this Monday morning. This Monday, just find one person on your team, sit down with them, and ask a really simple question. What are you working on outside of work just for fun? And then just listen. Seriously, you might be absolutely blown away by the passion and creativity you uncover. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. As a leader, take a hard look at your organization. Are you just hiring people to fill a job description? Or are you actually building a place where passionate, curious people can come to pursue something they truly love? Because the answer to that question, well, it could change everything.